activism begins with ACT. The Russ Belville Show features the stories of hardworking grassroots activists working for an end to prohibition in today's activist agenda.
All right, welcome back, everybody. 31 past the hour, and it's time for our Listen to Your Mother segment, and time for me to get the automator to stop misbehaving. Time for our Listen to Your Mother segment, and joining us here by telephone, we've got Charmie Gholson, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Charmie.
You are, Russ. Thank you very much.
Oh, so glad to have you here. You are the editor of the Midwest Cultivator, and you are with Michigan Moms United to End the War on Drugs. Let's start with the last one first. What's Michigan Moms United to End the War on Drugs?
It was just Michigan Moms United. Primarily because what I found is working with moms across Michigan and across the country, they're over
Charmie, we're having some difficulty hearing you through this mobile connection. I'm going to try to redial you and see if we get a better connection. Okay. All right. Let's see what we can do here. Having a little trouble with the Skype. Let's see if we can get a Skype contact as well on this, and let's see what we get. Hold on. We will try Charmie one more time on the line here from Michigan Moms United to End the War on Drugs.
Hello.
Hello, Charmie. That sounds a whole lot better. This is Russ.
It sure does, mister. Thanks for calling back.
So glad. So I was just opening up by asking you to describe for people what Michigan Moms United to End the War on Drugs is all about. When did you get started and so forth?
Well, we just cracked the name recently. Michigan Moms United is our formal name now. It's really just a campaign. I call it the Campaign for Safety. Our mission, of course, is to educate the media, legislators, and communities about how the failed drug war intersects with and destroys families. And as you can imagine, that's quite an umbrella.
Yeah. That would be covering a whole lot there. And, of course, also the editor of the Midwest Cultivator. Is this a print publication?
I'm owner and editor of the Midwest Cultivator. We just put out a quick little bit at Hash Bash. Right now we're online primarily. You can find me on Facebook. The most work that I'm doing right now is freelance writing and working with Michigan Moms United. And I'm also volunteering for LEAP again. I'm a former staff writer for Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. And I just started working with those guys again. Yeah, I just want to really focus on overall drug policy reform nationwide right now.
Well, excellent. And, Michigan's a good place to be doing this. You just recently passed the Michigan medical marijuana law just a few years back, and there's always stuff going on with that. And I understand also the Hash Bash just took place, so all sorts of things happening there. What's happening for your groups as far as events that are coming up?
Well, I was emceeing one of the co-organizers of the Hash Bash rally last weekend. Was it last weekend? It was April 6th, it seems years ago. And we had a fantastic turnout. We had legislators joining us this year. Representative Jeff Irwin stood in front of 5,000 people and said, I'm here. I believe we need to legalize marijuana. We had Ann Arbor City Councilwoman Sabra Breer, who also came and spoke. DJ Short was there, Ed Rosenthal, dance guy, who I think was voicing your promo when I dialed in, when you dialed me in. Dance guy was there, and Mason Traverse.
Oh, good.
So I know we had a great lineup. We really did. And I attended a forum at Eastern Michigan University on Saturday for mass incarceration and privatized prisons. So that was really good to see here in Michigan. It was a diverse group. We had church leaders. We had academics. I saw some members of the recovering community there, which is key because religious folks, particularly black churches in southeastern Michigan and Detroit, they're frightened. It's ground zero here in Detroit. Sure. With the drug war. I mean, we've got 1 in 3 men are under correctional control. There's no jobs. The work that's being done here in Michigan is slow. Even though we passed the Medical Marijuana Act 4 years ago, what's happened, and if you watch The House I Live In, that brilliant film by Eugene Jarecki, you will see the parallels drawn between what's happening on a national level and here in Michigan, because after we passed our Medical Marijuana Act, white, Republican Michiganders, middle-class folks, began to participate in the Medical Marijuana Act because they believed that they would be safe when they registered and followed the law. And they're, across the country, law enforcement and prosecutors, those very powerful, overreaching prosecutors, continue to work to remove protections provided in our Medical Marijuana Act so they can continue to enforce the Controlled Substance Act on us. Of course, they don't say that. They don't really let people know what executing a warrant really looks like. But they talk about kids with backpacks getting, medical marijuana when they don't need it, and all the crime that surrounds dispensaries, which is, not true. However, we're fighting them tooth and nail. They've been getting test cases, working up through the courts, all the way to the Supreme Court to try to strike down laws. We've got, the Wyoming versus Turbete case, which the Michigan Supreme Court just agreed to hear.
Yes.
Which arrived there. I have been suffering from this guilt. In September 2010, I attended a Michigan Municipal League meeting where one of our city attorneys, Grand Rapids City Attorney Catherine Misch, delivered a presentation to about 100 municipal officials in that room that day. And they delivered this presentation across the state immediately. Anybody with a new Medical Marijuana Act, I want to urge you to really keep an eye on moratoriums as they are popping up. This is a national strategy. Catherine Misch that day called for municipalities to join in a lawsuit to determine whether or not the Medical Marijuana Act was superseded by federal law. She encouraged communities to enact moratoriums, to prevent, opportunistic people who want to make money from coming into your neighborhood. And she also urged people to have test cases. Our judges would get these cases in front of them, Russ, and they would say, this is legal now, and dismiss it. And then they would be appealed by prosecutors across the state, case after case. And that strategy that was laid out in September of 2010 has played out across our state. It has destroyed lives. And these test cases, of course, now, one of those moratoriums was challenged several years ago by an attorney and a medical marijuana patient, John Turbete. He said, you can't ban medical marijuana in Wyoming, Michigan. It's a state law. So that has reached the Supreme Court. And not only have they agreed to determine whether or not local municipalities can ban the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, but they have agreed to determine whether or not our act is superseded by federal law. Mm-hmm. So, we're watching these things very, very carefully, and I know Catherine Misch has been consulting with the DEA. The ban that our municipalities are utilizing is a little phrase. It's an amendment to a zoning law that says you can't have purposes or businesses that goes against federal, state, or local law. And it was introduced by the DEA and early on after our law passed. So if your state, Massachusetts, these other states that are just now passing medical marijuana acts, you've got to get law enforcement. You've got to get LEAP speakers. You've got to get law enforcement people in there, educators, students for sensible drug policy. You've got to get people talking to your legislators and nip this stuff in the butt before they continue to wreak havoc on people's lives.
Absolutely. So we're talking about a nationally coordinated effort from ONDCP, DEA, drug...
Oh, I'm sure. Yes, the DEA. They came immediately. The Michigan Townships Association had a forum early on. It was, I think, 2009 in the summer, and the DEA presented there, and they did their usual song and dance. Marijuana is not medicine. You can't smoke anything and have it be medicine, blah, blah, blah. And so they scared the bejesus out of these township officials, and they gave them this language, the little zoning amendment language, so that you can pass it on a small level and say, nope, we're not going to have anything that goes against federal, state, or local law. So I watched all, as owner and editor of the Midwest Cultivator, I watched these things pop up all across the state. And I just really, I've been thinking about writing about it lately and giving a handbook of sorts to other states and saying, watch for these things. Here's what we did that didn't work. Here's what we're doing that we think is working. If we can help in any way, let us know. And I'll tell you what, women are taking this lead. I'm working with lots of other moms. The wives and mothers of the men who are being arrested and persecuted and prosecuted are the ones who are raising their voices, Russ. Mm-hmm. They're tired of it. They're sick of watching this happen to their families.
Yeah, and I would think with earlier on we were talking about the economic devastation of places like Flint and Detroit, and is any of the economic benefit of dispensaries, of grows, or even moving further into legalization, is any of that sinking into some of these really hard hit areas in Michigan?
Well, absolutely. For people who live on the earth here in Michigan, we can see that I knew hundreds of single mothers who worked on the front end of dispensaries. Michigan's economy has been very hard hit. And when people were opening up compassion clubs and dispensaries in their own grows, goods were shipped. Electricians and construction workers had jobs. We built buildings. We filled buildings that were vacant and blighted. Now, of course, one of the things that I learned when I worked for LEAP, and I had just the absolute gift of working with those folks, was that enforcing our failed drug laws decreases public safety, right? Mm-hmm. We've all heard that. Now, Michigan, I'm fortunate that when I started poking around, Michigan actually publishes arrest rates per incident. So I've been looking at how effective these policies are in practice on the ground for the last couple of years and charting county to county, year to year. And it's recently we saw that arrest rates for marijuana have surpassed violent crime. And that's just so true here in Michigan. We arrest about 16% of the rapists. Michigan's a great place to live if you're a rapist, by the way, or a murderer, because we only arrest about 30 to 35% of the murderers as well. Arsonists, robbers, those sort of things are very, very low, below 50% on a very basic level. However, we've got an 85% rate for arrest and higher for drugs, and I just realized prostitution. Our prostitution rates for arrests are through the ceiling as well. You know why? You know why, Russ.
Mm-hmm. Well, you get paid to make drug busts from the federal government, that's for sure.
No, because what can police do if they catch you with a prostitute?
Arrest you?
They take your car. They forfeit your property.
Oh, I didn't know they were doing that for prostitution now.
Oh, they do it in Michigan. Wow. So I've been watching these arrest rates, and I noticed that the parallel between prostitution and drugs was very high. Mm-hmm. So, they in Michigan, as you probably know, they can arrest you or they can take your property without filing charges or getting a conviction through civil asset forfeiture, and it's equitably shared. So the police take in your stuff, your widescreen TV, your humidifier, your car, and I've been doing these raid responses for the last couple of years, and just going and collecting data and sitting in people's living rooms who've had a Black Hawk helicopter land in their yard, and the guys with guns and masks get out and say, "We're here to check your grow." So I've been also traveling to municipalities and giving them their local stats for crime and also giving them their asset forfeiture numbers. Here's how much money your guys are bringing into your asset forfeiture. Here's how much money the feds are giving these drug task forces to go get drugs, not rapists or murderers. And it's really like a secret weapon, Russ. It is. Mm-hmm. Because you can talk all day about how marijuana is safer or marijuana is dangerous. None of that matters when you look at the crime stats and you look at what enforcing the failed policy does the community.
Yeah, it's tearing us all apart. And Charmie Gholson is working on this with Michigan Moms United, editing the Midwest Cultivator. Let's give you a chance because there's a lot of people in the chat room listening. They love what you're saying. They'd love to be able to get in touch with you. So do you got like Facebook, websites, emails, those kind of things?
Yes, sir. OKISay at yahoo.com. It's OKISay, OKISAY at yahoo.com is my email. You can also find Michigan Moms United on Facebook. You can find Charmie Gholson on Facebook. I have two profiles. One's just for family, for my kids. I post pictures of my kids, and the other is work. So, if you send me a friend request, I send to both of them if you can, and I'll just approve the one.
We will do.
But I really appreciate being a guest on your show, Russ. And I want to encourage the people who are listening right now to turn off their televisions and turn off the computer and not look at these images we're seeing from this attack today, and instead go out, especially the women, go out and send love and healing to all war victims and not put those images of war in our psyche like this. We have to combat it.
I couldn't said it better myself. Thank you, Charmie, so much for joining us here on a sad day for America, but it's going to be better. We're going to take and learn from this and make it a better country. And Charmie, thank you for helping us make that.
Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful day.
All right, you too. When we come back, time for a Radical Rant. We got some reefer madness to debunk from the newest member of Project Sam.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight